test. Let's see if that does anything.
Check 1, 2. There we go.
Oh, look!
All right.
I did it! Yay!
Check 1, 2. So instead of going back to another part of our scene here on OBS, we're just going to go straight from this scene here, folks. So welcome to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Sorry for the audio delays. Taking a look at our space weather right now, our solar wind speed's coming in at 462.9 kilometers per second with a density of 6.0. We have 2 sunspots to report on. That is AR 2812 and AR 2811. These are very small sunspots. The 2 combined, we are looking at a sunspot group number of 23. So they pose 0 threats for any kind of solar flare or anything of that nature. Our TCI coming in at 6.31. That's still very cold. You can see the maximum at 49.4, and we are quite a ways from that. And I don't think we'll see that value in anytime soon. Our cosmic radiation dosage rate's gone down quite a bit over the last couple of days, down to 8.3%. That's still pretty high, very high. So continue to watch that. The minimal cosmic radiation is negative 32.1%. So still quite a ways away from that. Our KPNSE is looking like it's at a 2 right now with a 24-hour max of 4. And we have a coronal hole that is now Earth-facing. And as I was showing you earlier on the grandsolarminimum.com, that coronal hole kind of developed rather rapidly. And as it is turning Earth-facing, we are going to see the possibility, and this is why I think we could see a G1 geomagnetic storm from this particular coronal hole, based on what we're looking at right now. Again, it doesn't appear to be too wide, and the wider they are when they're Earth-facing, the faster the solar winds will be. So at this point right here, I'm not so sure if it's got enough punch behind it. Let's watch it one more time. And this really just developed out of nowhere, and just as quick as it developed, it also quickly went away. And you might notice that magnetic release there at the top of the northern hemisphere of the star, and that CME had little to 0 impact on Earth's magnetic field. And you can kind of see this coronal hole kind of stabilizing here at the end, kind of closing up a little bit. So again, a possibility for a G1 is very low, but it's out there. Let's take a look at what we have to come after this current pair of sunspots that we're dealing with right now on the eastern limb. We see a couple of bright regions in the southern latitudes of our star. Other than that, looking kind of, hit or miss right now. But with CMEs and geomagnetic storms and, we're starting to see more activity. Solar cycle 25 is beginning to pick up on action. And one other thing I wanted to point out too, this channel is dedicated to the science of solar cycles and what it does to Earth, not just as a climate, but as a whole system, the planet itself. And the one thing that really grabbed my attention about this topic, Grand Solar Minimum, is that the proof of cooling is in science, just like the proof in warming is also in science. And it isn't anything to do with man. And this is a fascinating picture here. You see the very bright pink colors. And when we see this pink in the sky on these auroras, we are seeing highly charged particles dropping further down into the atmospheric region. The green is indications of oxygen, these highly charged particles interacting with, and then you have the pink. And the pink is the presence of nitrogen. So to see the clear, bright pink ribbon here allows me to believe that we are experiencing some pretty cool temperatures in our atmospheric, as far as it goes, as temperature-wise in our upper atmosphere. We are starting to see that cooling happening. These pink ribbons are going to get brighter as we go through this cycle. Maybe not after the next couple of years. We'll see a little break in that, but after 2025, we'll start to decline into a deeper minimum than what we just saw in 24 and the beginning of 25. So again, it's the science that proves to us that we are seeing conditions cooling in our atmosphere naturally, by the way. Has nothing to do with lack of CO2 emissions in our atmosphere due to any kind of COVID restriction or lockdown or industry regulation. In 2017, the United States dropped its CO2 emissions because they opened more gas plants. They were using natural gas as a resource of energy over coal. And it's a cleaner energy. So naturally, it dropped the United States emissions down to 0.7%. Now, I will give the previous administration credit for that because they're the ones that rolled back certain regulations that made it possible for them to start opening up a new market of natural gas, therefore creating cleaner energy. And this did. Naturally dropped 2.7% just by switching from coal to natural gas. My point I'm trying to make is that was in 2017 when we were still living in a hothouse. CO2 was dropped by man on their end by 2.7%. Nothing affected it. Nothing changed it. Just like the COVID events. When we had the first lockdowns back in March, April of last year, the emissions were drastic. From man, anyway. We shut down a lot of stuff. And CO2 in the atmosphere was still rising during the 2 months, the 3 months of shutdown that we had last spring. They're still maintaining those levels. And we've seen temperatures cool quite a bit over the last several months, and CO2 is still rising. So how does that fit with the narrative of the AGW of CO2 causing climate change? And it's sad because the AGW crowd has hijacked the natural science of solar cycles and sensationalized and made it their own. Everything that this channel reports on, usually we try to make it significant enough to make it newsworthy. We reported on the Iceland volcanoes a couple of days late, but that was an event that had to be covered, as the last time this volcano had went off was during the Wolf Minimum in 1340. All of these significant events that led to cooling as well are happening right now, right in front of your face. You don't have to believe me. Just read these articles for yourself. Go to Watchers, go to AccuWeather, read up about how we're having these record rains and record snows and these temperature drops. Read all about it. It's in, we're not taking information and polishing it and making it to where it's going to help us sell t-shirts. This is stuff that you can prove by doing your own research. But again, very bright pink, very strong presence, and I've talked about this a lot, very strong presence of nitrogen. And I remember when I first started seeing these back in 2017, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. This is the brightest I think I've ever seen one, honestly. So that just shows you, when you look at the UAH and you see the temperatures have been dropping for the past several months and drastically here recently, and we keep seeing these cold records being broken all over the northern hemisphere, I still feel like temperatures could be warmer than what they actually are right now, but this colder upper atmosphere has really kept things cooler and I think I'm not making an official prediction, but I think we could see a much cooler summer in parts of the United States this year. Some of us will probably appreciate that, but others may enjoy that 80-degree heat for the most part. But I have a suspicion, we'll see, I don't know, I could be wrong, that we could see a much cooler summer in certain parts of the U.S. Where? Well, I'm going to be cheeky and say the Northeast, possibly the far northern Great Lakes, Michigan, northern Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, the Northwest, which, by the way, there's so much events that hasn't been making the news, and I can't believe it. From big freezes to flooding, you name it, the Northwest has been pummeled with this up and down roller coaster of weather that they've had out there as well. And again, these situations are just the tip of the iceberg. The new norm, if not even worse, in frequency and intensity. So I want to talk about some things that I don't usually talk about on this channel because it's not, it's not really on topic. Tonight's such a slow news night that I thought, well, this would be a good chance, because the reason why I'm covering this tonight is because so many reports have been coming in. Very bright fireball explodes over Indonesia. This happened on March 16th, 2021. Now, this one was reported with a sonic boom. Very bright fireball over Pennsylvania, USA. This one happened on March 21st. But the American Meteor Society received 263 reports, mostly from Pennsylvania, but users from Connecticut, Washington, D.C., Delaware, Indiana, Kentucky, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, North Carolina, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Ontario, Quebec also reported seeing the event. This was March 21st. And there's video footage. If you go to watchers.news, there's video footage you can check out for yourself. Every time we ever play these videos, we get in a little bit of trouble with copyright. So, hey, just go to watchers.news. But there's tons of footage of this, all right? Fireball seen over North Los Angeles, Southern California. This was on March 21st, and it looks like there's two dates here, March 20th as well. More than 80 people submitted their eyewitness reports to the American Meteor Society after a bright fireball streaked through the night sky over Southern California at 2:49 UTC on March 21st, 2021. And then it has another date. I'm not sure if that's another day or not, so I'm just going to leave that out for now. So, again, there is a picture of the fireball. Now, guys, this is pretty incredible footage. It's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, if you're into nighttime sky watching, this is stuff that, this is amazing. This is what it's all about, being alive, being able to witness stuff like this. That was awesome. But again, that's a lot here in the last couple of days, right? Are we done? No. Bright fireball over Tampa Bay, Florida. Again, 61 reports were reported to the American Meteor Society. Fireball seen over Florida and Georgia around 0032 UTC on March 21st. Even though there was significant cloud coverage, tens of eyewitnesses in Middle Florida reported seeing a bright fireball around 2032 on March 20th. So, again, 16th, the 19th, the 20th, the 21st. Rare daylight fireball over the English Channel, sonic boom reported. A rare daylight fireball was observed over the English Channel at 1450 UTC on March 20th, 2021. The event was followed by a sonic boom heard by many people from the UK. And they received over 131 reports that witnessed this fireball. Now, if you're looking at these headlines like me, at first glance, you're like, wow, is it the coming of Christ? Is it Armageddon? What is going on? Why are we seeing all of a sudden these daytime fireballs, these nighttime fireballs, these sonic booms? And the answer, or let's just say I'm going to take a stab at this, but we are experiencing a very weak magnetic field right now. And when this magnetic field is at maximum strength, boy, does it really deflect a lot of these meteoroids. And I say this because the stronger it is, the more it deflects away from our planet. It's not like they bounce off of our magnetic field, but the magnetic field helps guide them and keep our planet safe. And when Zarkova was talking about a much, much weaker magnetosphere, she wasn't lying. This is just an example of how weak our magnetosphere is, because had we had a stronger magnetic field, I promise you, you would not see the number of fireballs that we've seen recently. Now, Watchers.news covers a lot of things from severe storms to volcanoes to earthquakes, crop loss, you name it. They pretty much they keep a finger on the pulse of the global stuff. But the reason why I mention this too, and not only do they report on these fireballs, but we've had asteroid flybys, one that was at 0.61 lunar distance. That was on March 22nd, and or March 23rd. Another asteroid flyby was also reported at 0.84 lunar distance. So, where am I going with this? We have 2 asteroid flybys that are less than a half, or right around a half to a full lunar distance away. These asteroids are bringing in debris fields with them. Okay. So throw that on top of a weaker magnetic field, and you get more action in the sky. That's what we're experiencing right now. There's that, I mean, and I'm not trying to say that it isn't odd to see the amount of fireballs that we've had going on thus far, especially in the last couple of days. My God, since the 16th of March, really. But don't fear. Well, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that, but I mean, I don't know for certain that these aren't going to lead to bigger and worse situations. But right now, this is explainable. And the explanation for this is that we are facing a weak magnetic field. We had 2 asteroid flybys that are pretty close, a half lunar distance away. And when you have 2 asteroids flying by, you know it's going to bring a debris field with it. So that's why we're seeing the fireballs. If you've heard anything different, pump the brakes on those theories and just look at the facts. Look at what's going on. Look at the conditions. And this will make sense. Again, science wins. And this is all explainable as far as what we're seeing right now. And I have a pretty good hunch and a pretty good feeling about this, just based on what I know about this topic, that we're seeing a lot more fireballs in our skies because our weak magnetic field is not deflecting like it usually does. And we've really seen an uptick in fireballs, really. I mean, Watchers.news, probably the last 8 to 9 months, I've seen so many reports of fireballs and asteroid flybys, it's not even funny. So, again, not trying to spoil any of the excitement of these fireballs, but this is to be expected during minimum conditions, and also with asteroid flybys as close as that, bringing debris fields, which, again, this is just another aspect of grand solar minimum and being prepared. How do you prepare for a possibility of a fireball or maybe something bigger happening, or something that makes an impact on something important? Sometimes you can't prepare for something like that, but you got to be aware and try to have some kind of plan. I know when I was talking about the tornado outbreak in the South last week, a lot of these weather channels were suggesting bug out bags. It ain't a bad idea to have one no matter what the reason for, whether it's for in case something happens like a fire or a tornado or, a severe thunderstorm or power outage. It doesn't matter, earthquake or even, an EMP from the sun. So it's always good to have some sort of bug out bag and a plan on where to go, what to do in case of an emergency. And again, I'm not saying just because we have a weak magnetic field, it's no big deal, but it is concerning when you see this many, and you have to wonder, when are we going to see an unfortunate situation where one of these meteoroids are big enough to cause problems. Right now, we're just hearing sonic booms. Well, places like Russia's had these same things where they've shattered windows and injured people. So those are a possibility as well. All right, so let's move it along here. Strong explosions at Pacaya volcano producing thick ash columns in Guatemala. Again, more earthquake activity. 13,000 feet was this. This happened on March 23rd, 2021. Again, when you're talking about an ash plume of 13,000 feet, doesn't do enough to cause any issues with climate, just causes an environmental issue with the locals. As you can see, the ash all over this jetliner here. Probably not safe to fly here for a little while. And a little interesting situation here out in our plain states. The mayor of, or a mayor of Colorado, or governor maybe, Matt Bros, our friend from Nebraska, gave me a little bit of info on this, but a Colorado official, let's just say that, Colorado official, how about that, had declared a ban on meat day, basically. And farm industries and local restaurants in Nebraska said, oh no, it's meat on menu day. We'll play that. So Nebraska is having meat on menu, and Colorado is saying no meat on menu. And, I was watching this interview, and the interesting thing about this is that it's not just affecting the industry, but it's giving the false hopes of that this is going to help with the environment and the climate. And what worries me about the Green New Deal policies is things like this right here. When you look at Nebraska, I believe the couple said this was over a $12 million operation in livestock in the beef industry alone. And you start hearing that food regulations are being in place to prevent beef. It becomes concerning for those farmers. So now you're hurting a local economy by switching to this idea that it's going to help the environment. But there is a part two when it comes to eating red meat, and that is the health issue, the colon cancer, the heart disease. Doctors believe that beef should be phased out. Certain doctors, not all doctors, but there are doctors out there making the argument that beef does more harm than good. And of course, the one doctor that was all for taking beef off the plate was on board with the whole idea of is it being better for the environment, which is false. Now, if the doctors want to take beef off the menu for medical reasons, I would understand that. That to me isn't a bad reason to take meat off the menu. There are a lot of colon cancers out there. There is a lot of heart disease out there that's related to beef. I know lots of you out there love beef. I know I do. Steaks, hamburgers, you name it. I mean, it'd be very difficult to switch off of that. And also, it would really affect the economy in a bigger way. It hurts farmers. And the biggest problem that we have right now is that we don't have enough farmers. Farmers are not encouraged right now to become farmers and be in business for it, because it's policies like this that could ruin a family or 4 or 5. Who knows? So there's two sides of this. There's the false accusation of climate change, and then there's the health, which there are facts that do back that. But there's got to be a way that we can meet in the middle. Meet, no pun intended on the meat part, but meet in the middle and somehow maybe just change the proportions of beef, or maybe change the way we cook it. Because I feel like that if you overindulge in anything, it becomes a problem and can lead to other problems. So maybe portion control could be the future compromise instead of banning beef altogether. It's not helping the environment by doing that, but you are hurting the economy. And I think that's the point here, is that we have to really weigh out our options here and make smart decisions that just don't ruin hundreds of thousands of families possibly from these false ideas that eliminating beef from our diet will help climate change, that will help fight climate change. And that's just a bunch of bull honky, if you know what I mean. All right, Denver could break 1891 snow record with midweek storm. I know, every time I go live, we are talking about Denver and snow. It's been a little over a week since Denver was buried in more than 2 feet of snow, with another wintry storm unfolding over the region. The city is on the cusp of another snowfall record that could be broken, that stood for more than a century. As of Tuesday morning, Denver International Airport was reporting 30.9 inches of snow so far this month, nearly 3 times more than the 10.7 inches that falls in the city in a typical March. Vast majority of this fell over the course of just 2 days. Fourth biggest snowstorm in the city's history unloaded 27.1 inches of snow. The historic snow, with help of a few smaller snow events, propelled this month to a number 4 spot on the list of the snowiest March on record. Check it out. But that could be broken. And it's light snow, 3 to 6 inches tops. Now, if we get 3 to 6 inches, 3 inches will definitely put us in the second all-time spot. But the full 6 inches could break the all-time record as far as snowiest winter, but also overcoming a 100 and plus year record. So once again, more snow records falling. It's late March. This is typical for this time of year. You see snow in March. It's not unusual, but it's 3 times more the average. Not just a coincidence. It's where we are in the solar cycle right now, folks. Not just a coincidence. Back-to-back storms to unleash a deluge storm situation here in the south. 2 things. Lots of moisture coming from the Gulf. Lots of energy in the upper atmosphere. This is rainfalls as of this morning. Lake Charles at 5 inches. Obilaus, 2.7 inches. Sulphur, 2.03 inches. Jennings, 1.78. And Oakdale at 1.69. We are concerned for heavy flooding for many, many reasons. In fact, let's take a look at the current radar. And, I mean, you could already see New Orleans is just getting pounded with heavy rain. And this is where I wish I could see my arrow, because something happened to it. And I can't find it. And I wanted to point out some regions here, but I will do my best to explain what is happening down in the south, because we are seeing another situation here where we're going to have possibly up to a foot of rain for New Orleans and the coastal region here in the Gulf in Louisiana and Mississippi. Now, the bulk of the 6 to 8 inches of rainfall is going to be across Mississippi, Louisiana, and parts of Alabama. Right now, where you see the yellow blob, that is going to continue to grow north and get into the Tennessee Valley, into the Ohio Valley as well. So this storm that we got coming up in the deep south, starting tonight, moving its way through. This is what I wanted to show you. So this is the moisture content that will be available for this storm. On top of the moisture being at the highest levels possible, we are also going to see some very high winds at the 5,000 deck level. All right. So with a lot of upper level energy, a lot like what we had last week. But this week, the difference is there is more energy coming from the Gulf. So we are concerned about flash flooding. We are concerned about tornadoes and wind damage for the areas that you see right now. Really, Jackson, Tuscaloosa, parts of northern Georgia, possibly Atlanta, Montgomery, Alabama, New Orleans, and even this probably will grow even further north into the Ohio Valley. So Nashville, Middle Tennessee, like Murfreesboro, Clarksville, you guys need to keep an eye open on this, but lots and lots of moisture available, and we will see severe storms possible from tonight through Thursday. Very similar to last week's setup. Now, they had a lot of rain with those storms as well, but this storm system, especially the Thursday night here, is going to bring a lot more rain than what we saw last week. So we are going to see a very, very wet south, a very soggy south. And if there's any action happening in the fields, I'd be pretty shocked because all this rain is pretty much ruining any plans whatsoever on having a successful plant season. Again, snow across the Colorado Rockies, Utah, Salt Lake City, Jackson, Wyoming, Boise, Idaho. You're in the clear right now. Some light snow flakes flying around in southwestern Montana. All is calm in Seattle and Portland tonight. Some rain showers in southern California and Arizona. Very light, and they need a whole lot more of what we're looking at right now. So hopefully that gets a little bit better as far as rainfall amounts. We are in pretty moderate drought in that region. So let's take a look at our GFS outlook. There we go. Looks like a Lando cane right now across parts of Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, and Minnesota and Missouri. That is currently what we're looking at. That rain across the south will continue. More snow dropping in New Mexico, and Texas is getting more rain than snow. But then on Thursday is when that second batch of storms across the south gets going. We got more rain going up through the northeast. No snow, luckily, but more snow for the northwest and Montana and Idaho and Denver and Colorado. But look at this low pressure racing across from Texas and moving into the Tennessee, Ohio Valley. And this storm system, by the time we get to Friday, looks to be pretty impressive over southern Ohio into southeast Ohio near Wheeling, West Virginia. As this thing progresses into the northeast by Saturday, a fast-moving storm too. Snow in Canada, rain and high winds across the northeast. By the time it's all over, you could see some snow in New Hampshire, Vermont, and parts of Maine by the time this storm is out of here. And let's do this. All right, let's move that a little bit more. Nope. Well, phooey. I realize that the arm of the t-shirt is in the way, so I'm trying to remedy that. Anyway, so we do know that we're looking at multiple events in the Northwest as well, and I wanted to point attention to that because I don't think a lot. Here's one system here on Thursday, lots of snow. I don't know what's going on. What a mess, folks. I apologize for all the technical difficulties. Arch. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. This might be the worst show in history of the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Okay, so apparently the sound is back now. Yeah, so I was trying to give a weather report for the Northwest. More snow across there, March 23rd, Monday, Tuesday. Dry, cold air for the Northwest. More snow and rain for the northern plain states. Look at that. Pretty sharp cold front moving through. Man, lots of rain through the south going through. Look at that. So here's a system number 2 that will affect most of Tennessee and Kentucky and northern Georgia. And I'm sorry, central Georgia and northern Alabama. Yeah, that's right, folks. There looks like there's a chance of snow showers. Now, I hope that's overnight. Wow. So GFS has signaled a snow event in the northeast for a couple of weeks now. And I don't like this forecast at all. So if you live in the northeast, you got some raw, cold. And look, we got some decent weather right here in the northeast right now. That looks like that could all change. I'm backing this up. Blaming it all on Washington and Oregon. Let's take a look at temperatures. Pretty good. Pretty spring-like. Really warming up in the south. It's going to make storms even worse. I mean, for the most part, March looks good. And then here at the beginning of April, we see this sharp cold front, especially in the northeast, really pushes down further south. And April 5th, look at that. April 6th. So this is why I think we're going to see possibility of some cooler weather this summer here in 2021. Spring is supposed to be here in full effect, right? Well, the Northeast looks like they're going to be battling winter-like conditions, not deep freeze or anything, but we are into April and we're seeing the possibility of maybe 3 to 5 inches of snow. Now, I think it'll melt just as fast as it hits the ground. Like I said, we've had some spring weather up here, but just a really roller coaster of events as far as temperatures, precipitation. I mean, for the most part, nothing too crazy. Not a normal April, but this is a normal ending to a March. But I've been saying this since February. This is going to be a roller coaster of winter into spring. And we keep seeing temperatures warm up. And then we keep seeing these sweeping cold fronts that just dominate and take over. So that is pretty much what we're looking at here over the next several days. Some up and down weather across the south. Severe weather. We need to be on the alert for the next few days here. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. Heavy rains for New Orleans across the coastal cities here in the Gulf Coast in Mississippi, Alabama, and Panhandle of Florida. That heavy moisture is going to be going up towards Tennessee and Kentucky and possibly the Ohio River Valley as well. So, that being said, folks, apologize for all the technical audio difficulties tonight.
My battery died on my phone, so I'm not in the chat.
Oh.
See, just
So
another
the sound
issue.
didn't go out. All
just
right.
It did go out.
Not
The
the second
sound
time.
was intermittent the second time. People were having issues. I have you playing on the TV in the back room, and the sound went out, and then it came back on. I can't imagine why.
Too much,
because
well,
of how we have things set up.
Too much
so.
truth. Too much truth, Mari. Too much
No.
truth about how we're cooling and not warming. So
We had someone who was a new paid subscriber. I don't have it in front of me because my phone just went completely dead. But Angel,
I could probably pull it out.
Angel something, if you can see. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, guys.
There's all kinds of great people in the chat.
Joining the YouTube membership, even if it's just the $1.99 one, it goes a lot farther. It's like a cup of coffee every
Angel
other day.
Lawrence.
Angel Lawrence, thank you very much for becoming a paid subscriber. And guys, it's just like a tip jar. You know, $2 a month. It's like, hey, say thanks, guys.
We'll get our act together. We'll
get
the
our
production stuff.
We'll get the production better. We'll be able to afford to buy better software. But that's where the money does go. It goes back into the show. So we do appreciate everything that you folks do for us out there as far as supporting us and sharing us, subscribing. You know, get the conversation started. I want to say hello to Richard Davidson out there in New Mexico. Hello, Matt Bros. Dorothy Rose.
I was just typing about how your eyes were like saucers earlier because you had your eyes dilated for a checkup. And everyone's saying that gives you a headache.
Oh, yes.
So let's just blame it on that tonight, Jake.
I think that's what it was. It was my eyes messed up the show tonight.
There you go.
But
see?
Looking at the chat, EJ, is it possible that Planet 7X is entering our solar system? See Gil Broussard, Planet 7X. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I just don't know. I jumped off that train several years ago. I'm pretty sure that's not the case. But interesting theories, of course. But again, look, there is proof of planets on the outer part of our solar system. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's Planet X or what is it, Nibiru? Nibiru. So just saying hello to folks in the chat. Edward, good to see you as well. Some new faces out here. Vincent Jones, Christina B, Daniel Bast. Also hello to Pete. Good to see you out there, fella. And hello to the folks that aren't here right now, like Knife Collector and others that constantly support us in the chat. We really appreciate you guys tuning in and checking out the show. We'll try to have this fixed the next time we go live. Right now, we'll probably do a report on Thursday for sure because of all the severe weather, especially with all the weather that we are expecting for Thursday. That will be the biggest day as far as weather makers go. We will start seeing some storm activity and tornadic activity starting tonight, but the bigger stories will be on Thursday. So look for us to be live Thursday night for another Grand Solar Minimum News update. Mari, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Be safe, take care, and we will talk soon.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.